Hey guys, it's me, Mario. Today we're going to continue Equinus, the Spirit Horse. Chapter 8, Double Trouble. How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. And let's get started. Tom had to think quickly. Now that he had found the second piece of the amulet, he knew he must have lost another gift from the magical armor. He just didn't know which one. I hope I still have my super strength, he called it quickly to Elenna. I'm going to need it. Stay here. Pushing his doubts aside, Tom scrambled up onto the recently fallen tree trunk. He had an idea, but he needed to get as much height as possible if he was to stand any chance against this terrible beast. He planted his feet as firmly as he could on the trunk, and the branches quivered and sent a shower of grey dust to the ground. With luck, the tree would hold his weight long enough for him to put his bold plan to action. Here's Tom leaping into the tree. As the beast stormed at him, Tom saw Equinus become solid once more, and his black heart disappeared under his bruised skin. Tom realized that Equinus didn't want his life force. The beast wanted to crush him. Tom smiled to himself. This was exactly what he hoped Equinus would try to do. Excuse me. By becoming solid, Tom knew that he might be able to wrestle the beast to the ground. And once he'd done that, he would find a way to plunge his sword into the black heart of the spirit horse. Equinus was almost on top of him now, and at the last possible moment, Tom threw out his arms and grasped at the beast's torso with all his might. A terrible shock of cold stabbed through him as he fell through the beast and crashed into the ground. In the instant of impact, Equinus had taken on his ghostly form once more, and as Tom had passed through him, freezing ice had made him shudder. It took all of Tom's willpower to drag himself to his feet. The ice-cold feeling seeped through him threatened to take over his whole body. Tom realized that, as he had passed through Equinus, the ghost beast had tried to take away his life force. He summoned up all his strength of heart, ignoring the trembling that shook his body as he felt his energies drain away. Then he saw Equinus begin to turn back into solid form. This was Tom's chance. He threw himself at the beast, wrapping his arms around his enemy's body. Some of the iciness transferred from the Tom to Equinus, who gave a scream of anger and pain. As the beast writhed, add. As the beast writhed, the Tom twisted violently, using his arms to yank his enemy's body to one side. Equinus stumbled and fell to the ground, dragging Tom with him. Tom landed heavily and lay choking in the dust. His eyes streamed in the gritty air. He spotted the blurry shape of Elenna's hand coming down towards him. He grasped it gratefully and felt her pulling him to his feet. But as he whipped his eyes quickly on his sleeve, he heard a sharp, desperate howl, and saw Equinus rise up from the dust, hooves flailing. "Look out, Elenna! Look out, Elenna!" Tom shouted in warning. Elenna staggered back, but she was looking open-mouthed at the ghost beast. "He's changing." Tom stared at disbelief. Elenna was right. Elenna... Equinus was transforming, but this time not to his ghostly form. The shallow, bruised tone of his skin was changing to a faint flesh color. Here's Tom jumping at Equinus. Which spread all over his body, neck and chest. His horse body and legs were becoming a vivid, shining chestnut. But holding on to him like that must have... Tom, holding on to him like that must have done something. "I don't think he can turn into a ghost anymore," exclaimed Elenna. "My strength of heart must have given me the power to stand up to him when he tried to steal my life force," Tom replied. "Thank goodness it's not the gift I've lost." "What do we do?" Elenna asked. "We fight him," Tom replied, defiantly drawing his sword. It'll be a fairer fight now that he can't change." But a horrible ripping noise filled the air. Before their eyes, Equinus became two separate beings. In the flesh, a human-like creature covered in coarse bristles was standing firm on new human legs. He was dressed in the hemp tunic. By his side, a giant horse stamped its hooves and tossed its head wildly. The beast's yellow eyes flashed with anger. It was ready to attack. Now, Tom and Elenna had two enemies to face and defeat, if they were to save Storm. The mad creature gave a roar of laughter. It was harsh and sounded like the cracking of rock. Death comes in two parts," he jerked. "Dare you to follow." He turned and disappeared into the jungle. They heard him crashing through the undergrowth. "You're not getting away that easily," shouted Elenna. She gave chase. "I'll soon stop him," she yelled over her shoulder at Tom. "You deal with that horse." Add again. Tom studied the animal. Its eyes were rolling in its head, its breath coming in panicked snorts while foam sprayed from its mouth. Here is that. The troll and the horse splitting into two. Tom leaped onto a nearby rock and vaulted onto its back. It reared and bucked, trying to throw him off, but Tom squeezed his legs around the horse's flanks and held on to the beast's chestnut mane. If things continued like this, the horse would tire himself out, which was exactly what Tom wanted. Indeed, the horse soon began to pant, and Tom gave a silent cheer of victory. But the beast suddenly paused and then charged at a tree. A low-hanging branch rammed into Tom's midriff, sending him flying. He landed on his feet, but he was winded. He fumbled for his sword. This needed to end now. Elenna was all on her own, facing the other part of Equinus. The horse charged towards him, raising the sword high above his head. Tom brought the hilt down against the beast's sweating temple. With a tremendous crash, the horse collapsed into the dust, unconscious. Now Tom had to find Elenna. He knew she was strong and brave, but Equinus was a devious beast. He followed the trail that the beast had left in the dust on the jungle floor. He sped between the trees, dodging huge dry leaves and clinging creepers. Clinging creepers. He tried not to think about how Storm was. All he concentrated on was destroying Equinus as soon as he could, to restore his friend's life force. Bursting through a clump of ferns, he found Elenna and Equinus. The beast was pointed to a tree by one of her arrows. The point had gone through the hemp of his tunic, and he seemed to be stuck fast. Elenna stood with another arrow ready to fire if Equinus moved. Tom kept his sword in his hand, just in case. Elenna didn't take her eyes off the beast, but she gave Tom a smile of welcome. Welcome. Bleh. Can't speak. I went hunting and look what I found, she said. Nice work, Tom grinned. The sight of Tom seemed to enrage Equinus and give him new strength. In an instant, he had torn himself free from the tree and grabbed Elenna. He spun her around and snatched away her bow and arrow. Elenna tried to wrench them back, but with a thrust of his arm, Equinus flung her to the ground. Before Tom could go to her aid, the beast had pulled back on the bow and was pointing an arrow directly at Tom's heart. And that was chapter 8. Double Trouble. This was a longer chapter, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Because why not? Hopefully you will join me on next Tuesday, where we will read the 9th chapter of Beast Quest, The Final Battle. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this chapter. Ugh. Ah, my neck. And I hope you like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you guys are interested in more Beast Quest videos. Ugh. Ad. Ad. I don't like ads, but I don't want to download YouTube Premium because that surprisingly has ads as well. But yeah, hope you like my content, and I will see you in the next one. See you in the next chapter on Tuesday. Right. Bye bye.